Oh, wow. So this, in my opinion, is gonna single-handedly save the game. It's a little divisive and some people might disagree. I think this is fucking genius. So this is gonna be pretty sweet. Let's get into this because this is a gigantic change, guys. This is absolutely huge. The big update preview part 4. New heroes and jail. Alright, guys. What we've all been waiting for. Today we'd like to wrap up the hero previews by showing you the faces of the last 2 heroes that are part of the big update. Io, the beep update. Boop soon. Oh, that's adorable. Oh, they're cute. It's because it's supposed to be the big update coming soon, but Io, it makes like little robot noises. How adorable. Primordial Druid. Whoa. Interesting. A Primordial Druid at tier 3. Very bizarre. Io teleports away to revive a dead hero, and Io and that hero return with full health and are purged of negative effects. So Relocate is literally just a res. It is very literally a resurrection. Interesting. And presumably that has some kind of like channel time, like it does in Dota. So I assume it'll cast that maybe on the first hero that dies, or like when it has full mana, it'll wait to cast that until a hero dies, and then if it gets enough mana, it'll cast it on one of the random heroes that has died. And how that targeting ends up working out will actually change a lot in terms of how you want to position. Huh. That's really weird. That's super hard to evaluate. I have no idea what we can really expect from Relocate or Tether. Tether to the nearest allied unit. I and the tethered unit gain attack speed and damage reduction. Tether will break if they move far apart. So I assume, we can't really say for sure, but I kind of assume that Tether costs 0 mana and that Io can cast it right away at the start of a fight. That would kind of make the most sense, because the point of Io is like, you know, you tether at the start, and if you have a unit right next to Io, then you're kind of buffing that unit and attaching it to it. If it's not necessarily being able to do that, you know, if you need to charge up some mana first, there could be some randomness in terms of who it tethers to based on like what has happened at that point in the fight. No idea. I have no idea what to think about this one. This is really strange. Primordial Druid in tier 3. So, I mean, on average, I would expect that leveling up Io isn't going to be giving you good value. So when you know, it's hard to say. We don't know what the numbers are. But typically, when you level up units, you're more so empowering their stat line than their spell. Because their stats double in terms of kind of their attack and health. Their stats double, and their health and their skills only improve a bit, right? It's not literal double up. So typically, that's why you want druids that have good stat lines like Treant, rather than an ability that scales super well. And Io is going to have a weak stat line with a strong ability, so it's not going to be able to use the Druid Alliance super well. Primordial, I have no idea what they're doing with Primordial. You guys might have seen in the last part when we talked about this, I was talking about Primordial as an alliance like being really awkward, and I think it's kind of likely it's going to go through some kind of change. So I'm not sure. Oh, Void is Primordial too. I'm not sure what to think about this Primordial being added. Yeah, this one's impossible to evaluate. It's really hard. I will say, usually tier 3s are meant to be stuff you want to like get good stats on and try to 3-star. Io is probably going to be kind of like Crystal Maiden, where it's like, it's just like the one squishy tier 3 that you don't really want to 3-star or level up. I don't know, how are you going to be able to fit this in? I mean, Druid is a non-tag for Io especially. It's like, it's really hard to use Druids. And I guess what this could lead to is possibly the emergence of a 4 Druid build. Kind of like Savages, the one thing that's really holding back late game Druids, like really holding them back, is Enchantress. And now that Nature's Prophet has been buffed recently, you could maybe think about a 4 Druid build that runs Treant, Io, Lone Druid, Nature's Prophet later on. We could see that. I don't think that will be good, to be honest. I really don't, but I mean, people will try, and it's not impossible, right? Primordial Alliance, I don't even know what to... I honestly, I have no predictions on what this is going to be. It doesn't look that usable. It doesn't look that strong. Like, the actual alliances themselves makes it hard to fit into comps. Like, Druid isn't really a 4 of, and Primordial isn't really... I mean, in its current form, Primordial isn't a 4 of. They might make a 6th tier of Primordial since they're adding 2 new Primordials here. And maybe that will be insane enough that you'll want to build it, perhaps? And it's also like the timing feels a little weird. It feels hard to run into like an early splash on Druids. So I have no idea what you're supposed to do with this. I mean, if you have like any tier 3, Tether can kind of make that powerful. Especially if you can cast it like right away. So yeah, I don't know how to evaluate IO. Too many unknowns. I think we probably have to move on. Some of you guys are seeing that there's the Void on Ace of Assassins. And this is pretty hype. So let's talk about this a little bit. Void on Ace of Assassins. So he's a primordial assassin, which makes sense. He's got Chrono Cube. I love that. So it's Chronosphere in Dota, and in this game it's a grid system, so it's Chrono Cube. Allied assassins have a chance to dodge attacks by jumping backwards in time, fully avoiding both physical and magical damage. So it sort of gives an assassin's an evade that works for magical damage as well. Effectively, it's going to be... it's kind of like Night Shield, right? You're going to have some... Because it works for... It's like a cross between Night Shield and Elusive. It's like Night Shield in that we have, you know, both physical and magic, but it's Elusive in that it's proc-based and not just percentage-based. And that's, of course, very powerful. It goes without saying, if you're going to be in 6 assassins, you're going to want this ace. Easily. Now, the one downside is, again, and we looked at Sven last time when we were talking about this, with the ace effect here, it's like you're in a deep roll value build and you've got a powerful ace. So how do you play for that in assassins? The idea is, it's going to be hard to reliably get Void. Because at 8%, you're going to be at 1% ace tier odds. And you can boost that by having, you know, he's the Ace of Assassins. So you're going to have the Assassin's Alliance completed. What other aces are there so far that we know about? You're going to have the Assassin Alliance completed. And within Assassins, you're probably going to have Scaled paired. So you have an extra chance at Medusa. And you're probably going to have nothing else paired in aces. Yeah, you're going to have nothing else paired in aces. So Medusa and Void alliances are going to be completed, which means every ace unit you get will have about a 27% chance of being either Medusa or Void, and the rest evenly distributed among the other heroes. But about 27. Which isn't bad, but it means like every unit you see has, you know, that would be, what is that? A 0.027% chance of being a Faceless Void, or sorry, a 0.27% chance. Every hero you see will have that chance of being a Faceless Void, which, you know, we can round down a little bit to 25 for simplification. And so you're going to need to see 400 units before you see a Faceless Void on average. That's the, of course, median. Or sorry, the mean, not the median. So 400 units means... And the same logic, the same math is going to apply to Sven basically as well. So you're going to have to roll through like 400 units, which is quite a lot. But that's how you have to play it, because you have to be 3-starring your assassins. You can't think about going to 9 just for Void odds at the cost of like not hitting your assassins. So that's how you're going to play these kind of interesting assassin and knight aces. And it's kind of turns their alliances into a bit more RNG. I mean, again, all this is assuming everything stays the same. We don't know if like if the level 8 odds are getting changed or the level 9 odds are getting changed. We have no idea. Or if the ace tier bonuses are getting buffed in some way. But I think you have to stay at 8 and roll. And he's also primordial. So the cute thing about this, it doesn't do too much, but it increases Morphling's staying power in the build a tiny bit. To be perfectly honest, primordial in its current form is so incredibly weak that at that point of the game, you're thinking about primordial like that late after you've gotten Void. That's going to be like around 26 or 27 on average. It's not going to do almost anything at all. So realistically, the level 1 Eidolons, it's not like you should feel like you have to go Morphling just because you have a Void. If your Morphling is not going to 3-star, you should be ditching it. And I think that's kind of important to think about. That's a trap a lot of players are going to fall into. They're going to like build Morphling. They're going to keep a level 2 Morphling on their end assassin board just because it has the primordial tag. If it's going to level 3, you want to keep it. And if primordials are changed, I mean, we don't know. Maybe they're getting buffed. Then, you know, maybe the pair could be good. But you would never go out of your way to play for like the current tier 1 Primordial. They have to rework Primordial for sure. It's ass. Yeah, it just doesn't make any sense. Okay, so Chrono Cube, you know, we didn't even look at this. Creates a blister in space-time, stunning all units caught in the cube. Faceless Void has increased movement and attack speed while in the cube. So, I mean, that's just what Chronosphere does. No surprises here. I wonder if this could influence how you position assassins as well. Because the thing about Chronosphere is it stuns all your units and all the units inside of it, right? Which means you don't want all the assassins to be inside Chrono Cube. Ooh, this sounds really frustrating. I mean, if this targets the same way as every AoE... If this targets in the same way that every AoE in the game targets, which basically means to say it's like random targeting almost, then there's kind of no way to control this. And that's going to be really obnoxious. Like when you're stunning your... Like, I'm imagining clips of like people just stunning their entire team for like one enemy in the cube. Ugh. I hope it has better targeting. That sounds a little awkward. Classic Void Kerner ally, paper laugh. I mean, I used to do that all the time. It was one of my favorite things to just be playing like Void, and like, you know, we're TPing out after taking a tower, and the tower is getting like 3 TPs on. So like my team, like they know the tower is we're gonna kill the tower in like 2 seconds. The creeps have it. They're TPing away before the enemy TPs finish, and I just Chronosphere them in their TP and time walk away, and then the enemy's TPing and just kill them for free. That's like my favorite thing to do, but I'm not gonna be very happy when that happens in Underlords. It's a lot less fun when it's happening to you. Like, that's just not cool, dude. And I feel this could literally be Chronosphering like 5 teammates for no reason. One interesting thing is this does kind of incentivize you to maybe split up your assassins a little bit more, I guess. I don't know. Like, it's hard to play around. And then we have to talk about the jail. So jail. Even though Season 1 adds 12 new heroes to the roster, we've decided not to remove any beta season heroes. You might be asking yourself, won't this make it harder to rank up heroes? Just as we were talking about yesterday? This is where the jail comes in. Every 24 hours, a number of heroes are removed from the pool. The system will also make sure that when creating the list of heroes to ban, that all alliances can still be completed. Found it adds variance, and we didn't see any change of rate to heroes that can be ranked up. So this, in my opinion, is gonna single-handedly save the game. It's a little divisive, and some people might disagree. I think this is fucking genius. I love this. I think it's really, really smart. So I was a big fan of Codex Arena in Guild Wars. I know a couple of you guys at least will know that. And this is kind of the same concept. I honestly, I loved it in Guild Wars, and I kind of have no idea why I've never seen any other game exactly do basically this. I'm sure there's at least like 1 or 2 games that have done this, but it's pretty rare, which is like a 24-hour cycle on like a random bans from a system. So if you are the kind of player that enjoys playing Underlords by forcing the same thing every single time, you're not going to be able to. Because there's going to be some day, like if you're like the Mike Wizard and you play Knights every single game, like every once in a while, you're going to get a ban on Luna. Because again, it's, what is it, 12 heroes? 12 heroes that are getting banned. Well, it actually hasn't clarified yet. It just has a number of heroes removed from the pool. So I guess they haven't decided yet whether they want like, however many heroes they want banned. Maybe it'll be around like 10 or 12, I guess. And that means like every once in a while you won't be able to play, like, you know, there'll be a day that bans like Luna CK, and then you're like, well, I guess I can't play Knights today, right? Oh, it's 8 to 12. Oh wow, it randomly chooses a number too, dude. Interesting. Okay, so yeah, there's gonna be some days where you just can't play Knights, and that we're gonna have basically a sort of daily micro meta because of it. Some of them are gonna play kind of similar to each other, and some of them are gonna be weird. Like there's gonna be some weird days, like deep into a meta, where you wake up, you look at Underlords, and you're like, well, shit. Like let's say all the tier 1s lost a component piece in them, and that like the entire meta is gonna be warped, right? Some people might not like this. It's a huge change to the game. Like I said, if you want to play the same thing every time, or maybe if you're the kind of player that might feel like you're gonna overthink this, and it feels like you have to sort of relearn the meta every time. I wouldn't say that. I know that a big complaint for people is that they don't want to have to relearn the meta every day. And I think this is, it should fit a good balance where you're going to be basically not relearning the meta every day, but there will be a sort of like, yeah, like a micro meta, like a daily like skew towards what the actual patch meta is, you know, which might be like the larger meta, the macro meta, the monthly meta, right? Self-corrects the meta. I can't stress this enough. I think this is the single biggest thing happening in this update. I think this single-handedly saves the game. I think it's genius, and I think that, to be perfectly honest, I think that other auto battler games that come out, or maybe TFT as well, I think other games will probably net deck this idea. I think this might be how these games are designed moving forward. I think it solves everything at once. One thing I haven't even talked about is that it allows them to have a larger hero pool while still allowing for kind of more similar gameplay. So like, for example, if they didn't have this jail system, they would be limited to a hero pool of like, let's say 60 or 70. Let's say 60, okay? But because they have this jail system, they can have a hero pool that's like 20, 25% bigger. It doesn't have to stop at 72. I think did they add 12 new heroes? Or 13? I don't know exactly how many new heroes they added. I think they said 12 in this post, right? 12 new heroes. They added 12 new heroes. They don't even have to stop at 72. They could stop at like 80 or 85. So they can have basically a larger pool of heroes to have a more diverse experience. It's fun, but from a competitive standpoint. So the actual like tournament system is the one big downside, right? Like, how is this going to even work with something like tournaments, right? Are tournaments are tournaments just going to be run without jail? Is that how it has to be? Because I think that if this is run into a tournament, it feels like it's not really going to work properly. Now, what they really could do, which I think is really, really fascinating, and I'm sure they're thinking about it, and maybe you're thinking about it, what they could do is they could have random bans for the daily ranked ladder, like the just ranked and unranked and normal gameplay. Whereas there could be a tournament mode with manual bans, like draft or like captain's draft, like where you're banning things with some limitations, perhaps. Like, for example, maybe, I don't know, I'm speaking off the top of my head, but maybe like some, like you can only ban one hero per alliance. I have no idea. I have no idea actually how they would do that. Because I don't think you can have like this daily jail system in tournaments. And I think if they do that, if they have that kind of dichotomy between ladder and tournaments, where one of them is a manual jail and one of them is the kind of random jail, I think that will work just fine. Because the thing that you have to understand is, like, if you have a jail system in the game, you kind of can't really have a tournament system that doesn't have a jail system. Because if the game is balanced around having a pool of like 60 units, you can't just delete that. You can't just have a tournament mode with like 72 units. It'll throw everything out of proportion. But if they make it so that there's a tournament mode with manual bans, some kind of like draft ban system where you kind of take turns doing bans in a strategic way at the start, that would be really, really cool. That would be perfect. I guess a tiny bit hesitant because they haven't mentioned what's going to happen with tournaments, but I will say, until they put that in, I don't know if they're planning that for this update. That might not be one of their top priorities, supporting like these tournaments. I know there's like some weekly tournaments and stuff that happen. Those tournaments might be kind of awkward, you know, with having jail built in. If there is, you know, if there is no tournament mode. That being said, for something like a weekly tournament, I think having the like a low prize pool weekly tournament, having the jail be a part of the tournament is cool. And I think that a lot of tournaments will actually intentionally stay in jail mode. You know, that's fine. But when it comes to like big prize pool tournaments, you just like, you can't even prep for it properly if like before the 24 hours are up, you don't know what the jail is going to be. It just feels like if there's a big tournament on the line, it can't really run a jail system. Jail is going to scare away any casuals. So that's the one concern that most people have. The one concern I just talked about is like some people might have a system where like, well, we don't know how they're going to implement tournaments, right? And I have a hope that they'll do tournaments like I'm saying, and that'll be really cool if they do. And that will be so perfect. But yeah, it could scare away casuals a bit. That's going to be the number one complaint to most people. I don't know how valid that is. Like, the thing is, I don't think you have to relearn the meta every single day. And also, if there's one comp you just always want to play, no matter what, I don't think you're necessarily going to get it banned out. Like, it is going to be hard to play the same comp every single day. What's the math on that? What's the math on that? Okay, so it's let's say 10 heroes are detained. Let's just simplify it and average it. So it's like we have 72 heroes in the pool, which we have now, could change. 72 heroes in the pool, 10 heroes are detained every day, and you want to jam basically the same exact, like, let's say 8 hero comp every single day. What are the odds that one of those 8 gets hit? So it's like 10% per 10 roll. So it's about a 63% chance, right? It's about a 63% chance. That's actually easy math, because it's 10... If it's a 10% with 10 rolls, it's just... What is that? 1 minus 1 over E, right? Okay. So it's like... If you play the same 8 unit comp every time, and you have 10 heroes are detained, between around a pool of 72 heroes, or I'm rounding up to 80, it's about a 10% chance, so it'll be closer to a 12% chance of one of your heroes being detained. Let's say a 12% chance, and it rolls 10 heroes. So yeah, that's actually pretty bad. There's about a 2/3 chance. It's like 66. It's closer to 66 or 67%. It's very, very, very close to a 2/3 chance that every single day, at least one of the heroes from your full 8 unit comp is gonna get detained, right? So, I mean, you might have to play a little reactively. It's going to be hard to play this game while jamming the same exact 8 unit comp every time. So, yeah, I mean, it does force you to adapt a bit. And it's going to be like, there's going to be trouble at the start before people are going to come back to this mechanic. They're going to come back to the game and they're going to be like, okay, you know, let's try to force this comp. They're going to not find any of the units. They're not going to be aware that the jail is a thing, or they're gonna forget that their unit is jailed, and they're gonna be like, why can't I find this unit? That's probably gonna happen to me at some point. Like, I don't know. It's pretty funny. It's much higher because jail is not random. Wait, jail's not random? It's gonna be... all alliances can still be fully completed. You're right. So it'll basically force you to not... It won't be able to pick stuff that will force you to not complete alliances. It's not much higher, though. It's closer to 70%. So yeah, if you have an 8 unit comp, you want to jam every time, there's like a 70% chance one of those 8 units is going to get banned out. I think that's right. Did I do that math wrong? I think I might have done the converse. It might be a little too high. I think, yeah, wait. Good stuff is going to get its ass fucked. Yeah, I mean, I think good stuff is probably going to get nerfed in some other ways. We'll see. It's very interesting. Correct math? Because it grabs 1 out of 10. So if you have an 8 unit comp, it's like a 12% that it runs 10 times. And the odds of that 12% hitting is Yeah. About 70%. It's pretty high. Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, it's not like this doesn't come with a downside. I know there's some people that might look at this and say, ah, this makes the game, it might scare away some kinds of players, or it might like overcomplicate it. I know there's a lot of players that will look at this, and it's easy to look at this change and be like, well, I'll have to relearn the new meta every day. And I think that's a really unfair argument. I don't think that's true at all. I think you'll have to, the meta will like make minor adjustments every day. I think this is genius. Personally, I do. It's a little risky. It's bold. It is. And maybe there's a chance it'll be kind of awkward. But I think it's genius. I really do. Like, worst case scenario, if you like, if you only play Knights and you get like a day where like DK Luna are banned, then I guess you like maybe play something else that day or don't play that day. And obviously that's, I mean, from a game design standpoint, that's a little weird, but the concept of the jail mechanic just fits the concept of an auto battler so well. Very, very well. I don't know. I really like this. And I think it'll lead to a tournament mode that is intuitive and just makes sense with like manual bans. So I can't stress this enough. I'm very, very for this change personally. But it's not without its downsides. Okay? So that's basically it. That's day 4 reveals, part 4. I'm extremely hyped for this. I really, really am. None of the druids can be banned either. Aren't there 5 druids? Because Io's a druid,
I'm basically
right?
1/8 gay.
So I think, like, if there's any alliance that is, like, you can only have exactly that many, like, the alliance requires all the heroes, it can't be banned. But I don't think that's... As far as we can tell, every alliance is getting... Like, there's a 5th troll, there's a 7th savage, there's a 5th brawny, there's a 5th druid... I think they're taking every alliance and making it so that any unit can get banned. Right? I think so. And that makes sense. Because they're adding like extra knights as well. They added, of course, a 7th knight in the form of Sven. So yeah, anything can get banned. Interestingly enough. I mean, very, very, very slightly. Almost won't matter very much. But technically... certain alliances like demons will have a higher ban rate than other things. Like a couple percentage points, I guess. Because like when the first knight is banned, none of the other knights can get banned. And the same is true for druids, savages, from what we've seen so far. Trolls, brawnies, brutes. Almost a majority of the alliances in the game, once that alliance gets banned, nothing else can't get banned. Legion Commander can't get jailed? And Demon Hunter? Yeah, okay. Legion Commander, Anti-Mage, and Terrorblade can never get jailed, from what we've seen so far. And I think they've shown all the new heroes, right? So yeah, I think that's correct. And Demons will technically have a slightly higher ban rate than some of the others. Demons, Warriors... Well, we don't know how many Warriors are left, because I think they're probably removing Warrior from... Axe and Doom are becoming Brutes, right? Elusives. Stuff that is, like, way overflowing will have slightly higher ban rates than anything in, like, Troll... or knights, or savages. So it's like, if you're a knights player, at most one of your knights is going to get banned. And if it's like, don't get me wrong, depending on the hero it is, I think if you are a competitive player, you might not want to play knights after your hero gets banned. But you can, if you jam 6 knights every game and you're a casual player, your Luna gets banned, you can still run 6 knights without Luna. If you're a casual player, that's going to be the kind of player that's going to mind this change. But also, they're kind of the kind of player that might not necessarily mind that much if they have to play a day without Luna and by swapping in these 6 knight instead, right? I think this is pretty crazy. What I wonder about the jail system is it doesn't mention if the bans are going to be trying to stay within the same tiers. And I wonder if it might be a mistake if they're not trying to remain consistent in the tiers. Because there could be, like, a day where, like... And this will happen. Like, if they just ban, like, 5 tier 3 units... Then... Like, roll value builds are nuts. Like, you can get your level 3 tier 3s just so easily. Justice Malone announces that there's going to be some big alliance changes. Probably, yeah. Like I said, some people might disagree, but I really think this is pretty genius. And you can spend so much time thinking about this too. I love it. I really do. Especially for people that play the game a lot. Even if you don't play the game a lot, I think it does a good job keeping it fresh. And, I mean, I think that's pretty much all there is to say about it. A live game? Smiley face? I legitimately think so. I mean, this is something I'm very, very hyped for. This is the #1 thing in the patch I'm looking forward to. And this patch is so big too. By the way, the #2 thing, fittingly enough, is duos that I'm looking forward to. So, like, in terms of all the content in this patch, it's like #1 JL, #2 duos, and then, like, I mean, there's the 12 new heroes, there's the Underlords, and then there's all the balance changes. You know, whatever. They're gonna remember to do balance changes, right? Yeah, whatever. But it's gonna be a crazy week, guys. It's gonna be crazy. This is it. City crawl, whatever the hell that is. I don't even know. Yeah, who even knows what that is? I think 24 hours is a bit too fast. Maybe 3 days would be better. Honestly, I don't really hate that. I could see something that's closer to like 3 days. 24 hours could be a bit too fast. It depends. I mean, maybe we'll play around with it a bit and see. And I think it's very open for them to change that if people agree that 2 or 3 days would be better. I don't disagree. I'm open to like 2 or 3 days for sure. I'm very, very open to that. That could be pretty cool. So yeah, I'm super down. So are there going to be more reveals tomorrow? See you tomorrow. We hope you're enjoying these previews. See you tomorrow. So, I mean, they're implying there's going to be another one tomorrow. So, and they still have more things to reveal. They still have City Crawl. They still have Underlords. And they still have, like, if they want to do some balance changes. So, this has been part 4. And I guess we'll do part 5 tomorrow. I guess so. So, be back same time tomorrow. Part 5. Let's go.